You see, we all have big goals, but most of us will never achieve them because our ambitions are lazy. Our ambition tells us to start, but then it also tells us to take it easy so we don't burn out. We want to lose weight, get in shape, start a business, read more, but we never really do. And this is the laziness of ambition holding us back. It's telling us to do these things, but also to not do these things. And that creates this paralysis where we just end up doing nothing. And I think this has been especially true for me over the past year. I started a ton of projects, but didn't finish many of them because my ambition was lazy. It would tell me to start one project, and then halfway through, it would tell me to work on another one. So I'd start that one, and then halfway through that, it would tell me to work on the first one again. And so I'd jump back and forth like a complete moron until I had nothing to show for my efforts. But there is a way to overcome this. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the exact method that I use to overcome the laziness of ambition. If you can implement this into your own life, you will find yourself unstoppable. Let's look at why high standards can paralyze you. Imagine you're an ambitious student who wants to get straight A's in school. Every time you sit down to study, you tell yourself, I want to focus and get everything done perfectly. But when it comes time to actually do the work, you struggle to stay focused. Your mind wanders, you get distracted by your phone or social media, and before you know it, you've wasted hours of time without making much progress. You might think that the reason you're struggling is because you're lazy or unmotivated, but that's not actually true. In fact, you're experiencing something that almost every ambitious person goes through. It's called activation energy. The concept of activation energy was first introduced by the chemist and physicist Wilhelm Ostwald in 1910. He defined activation energy as the minimum amount of energy required to start a chemical reaction. For example, let's say you have a ball sitting at the bottom of a valley. To get the ball to roll up the hill to a higher valley, it needs a certain amount of initial energy. This initial energy is the activation energy. Similarly, when it comes to achieving your goals, there's always an initial barrier to entry. This is the activation energy. Let's go back to our ambitious student. The activation energy for studying is the energy required to get started. It's the effort it takes to open your books, sit down in a quiet place, and actually start focusing. When you have high standards, this activation energy can become a significant barrier. Instead of seeing a small bump, you imagine having to climb Mount Everest just to get started. That seems impossible. When you have low standards, the activation energy is much lower. It's easier to get started and maintain momentum. So why is this a problem? Well, when the activation energy is too high, it can lead to procrastination and inaction. Even though you want to achieve your goals, the effort required to get started seems overwhelming. As a result, you may find yourself stuck in a cycle of procrastination, constantly putting off your goals and dreams for some future date when you feel more motivated. Now, there are ways to overcome this. And, as promised, I'm going to share with you exactly what I do when I face this problem. Alright, so how do we solve this problem? How do we make the activation energy smaller? There are two ways to approach this. First, you can try to increase your motivation. But motivation is a double-edged sword. While it can help you get started, it's not a reliable long-term solution. Think about it. If you're feeling motivated, you're likely to be productive. But what happens when that motivation fades away? You'll probably fall back into procrastination and inaction. That's why the second approach is much more effective. It focuses on reducing the activation energy, making it easier to get started and maintain momentum. And this is what I've started doing in my own life, and it's made a world of a difference. So here are 3 simple tools that I use to reduce the activation energy in my own life. 1. I write down my goals and commit to them publicly. By committing to a goal publicly, you create accountability. This makes it more difficult to procrastinate because now other people are watching to see if you can follow through. Humans are wired to care about how others perceive us. It's not about seeking approval, it's about consistency. Psychologically, once you've told people you're going to do something, your brain sees not doing it as a threat to your identity and credibility. That subtle pressure can help you push through hesitation and take action, even when you don't feel like it. 2. I break down my goals into small steps and focus on just the next step. When we think about our goals, it's easy to get overwhelmed by all the work that needs to be done. But when we break it down into smaller steps, it becomes much more manageable. This is what I like to call micro goals. For example, let's say you want to write a book. The process of writing a book can seem daunting, but if you break it down into smaller steps, it becomes much more achievable. First, you can set a micro goal to just write 50 words a day. Then, once you achieve that, you can set a new micro goal to write 100 words a day, and then 200 words a day, and so on. I've used this method to accomplish many things in my own life, such as getting in shape, starting a business, and even overcoming procrastination. By setting small, achievable goals and celebrating small wins along the way, you can build momentum towards your larger goals. 3. I use visual reminders to keep myself accountable. Visual reminders are a great way to reduce the activation energy required to achieve your goals. By putting visual reminders in places where you'll see them every day, you can keep yourself accountable and motivated. This could be a vision board, a list of affirmations, or even just a post-it note with a quote that inspires you. For example, if you want to save money and invest, you could put a visual reminder of your net worth goal somewhere where you'll see it every day. This could be your bedroom wall, your office, or even your bathroom mirror. I personally use a habit tracker. It's a simple visual reminder of the habits that I'm trying to build, and it keeps me accountable. I can see my progress over time, and it motivates me to keep going. I've implemented these 3 tools into my own life, and it's completely changed the way I approach my goals. These tools aren't just for lazy people. In fact, they're for anyone who wants to achieve their goals and dreams, but struggles with procrastination and inaction. Here's the thing. Achieving your goals doesn't require superhuman willpower or motivation. It just requires a system that makes it easier to get started and maintain momentum. By implementing these tools, you can reduce the activation energy required to achieve your goals and finally start seeing the results you want. Don't let another year go by with unfulfilled dreams and goals. Start taking action today. If you can implement these tools into your own life, you will find yourself unstoppable. Drop a comment with the goals you're working on. I'd love to hear what you're aiming for. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend. Subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell for more insightful psychology videos. Thanks for watching.